Welcome to Wings of Fire Dream. Today, on day 8 of TNPSC preparation, we will see the topic local governments. The contents are taken from 11th standard book. Meaning, nature and importance of local government. Local government means the government which manages services and amenities in our villages and towns and cities with focus on local problems. The local government normally functions within a specified limited territory of a village, a town, a city, and also a large metropolitan city. As and when people have problems such as road repairs, water stagnation in the streets, non functioning of street lights, and construction of small water bodies, recreation of parks, etc. The local government have the responsibility to attend any emergency situations, birth or death of persons in the village or town. The local governments are the institutions which issue certificates of proof of residence, birth, death, and incomes, etc., to the residents in that area. They are the lowest units of administration in the administrative structure of the government. The local government has council, which is normally elected by the people of the village or town concerned. The council representatives are elected once in 5 years or 4 years, depending upon the law in operation in the country. The local governments are the important channel of flow of resources and programs to the people at the lowest level, normally called as grassroots level. With development of information and communication technology, the whole world have become global village. Panchayati Raj, Gandhi versus Ambedkar. Gandhi wanted the central government to have minimal power and he wanted the villagers to rule themselves traditionally with village chiefs and councillors. According to Ambedkar, village possessed a cruel reality of communalism and caste system. Thus, it will lead to the cornering of minorities. My idea of Gram Swaraj is that it is a complete republic, independent of its neighbors for its own vital wants, and yet interdependent for many others in which dependence is necessary, said by Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi, through his social and political initiatives, made the country realize that the power of people could be facilitated only through effective local self government. I shall work for an India in which the poorest shall feel that it is their country, in whose making they have an effective voice. Gandhi time and again emphasized need for power in the hands of people in India through the Panchayat Raj model. Gandhi said the greater the power of the people, the better for the people. For Ambedkar, those villages were nothing but a sink of localism, a den of ignorance and communalism. The dominant and influential communities would make villages their monopoly, and that would render other communities voiceless. The result was that the constitution that was drafted under his chairmanship did not mention a word about Panchayati Raj. Many Gandhians persuaded the committee to have a provision for the village panchayats in Part 4 of the Indian Constitution titled Directive Principles of State Policy, vesting the responsibility in state legislatures. Article 40 states that the state shall take steps to organize village panchayat and endow them with such powers and authority as may be necessary to enable them to function as units of self government. Classification of local government institutions. Local governments are classified as rural and urban based local governments. The rural and urban divide is made based on the nature of the occupation of the residents. Agriculture based or non agriculture based occupations. The agriculture based occupation means that almost or most of the residents of an area are engaged in agriculture related occupation, whereas in urban areas the citizens would engage in industrial trade and business and other activities. The urban areas are the link between the outside world to the local villages. The local governments formed in rural and urban areas are called rural local governments and urban local governments respectively. Local government is divided into urban and rural. Urban, we have four categories: municipal corporations, municipalities, town panchayats, cantonment board. Rural, district panchayat, panchayat urban, village panchayat, ward. In India, the rural local governments have given general name Panchayati Raj, which means the system of panchayat institutions, that is, the institution which does the panchayat. The urban local governments in India are classified into various types depending upon the political and economic basis for the formation of urban local governments such as municipal corporations, townships, area. For example, in India, the urban local governments are classified into various types such as municipal corporations in metropolitan cities with population with 1 million plus cities, with municipalities in small towns with population of less than that of 1 million. Townships and the notified area committees are emerging urban areas where the new industries are established in the industrial towns. Cantonment boards are established in military establishment where the defense establishments such as training institutes for defense personnel, defense industry are there. Origin and development of local governments in India. In tracing the origin and development of local governments in India, one finds the evidences of the existence of local governments even before the times of Christ. The period between 600 BCE and 600 CE witnessed the rise and fall of republics. During this period, there emerged Mahavira and Buddha. Villages were classified according to size and mode of habitation in Jain and Buddhist literature. The religious orders founded by Buddha and Mahavira observed highly democratic procedures in arriving at decisions. Kautilya's Arthasastra gives a comprehensive account of the system of village administration prevailing in his time. In the days of Maurya, the village and the district were units of administration. In the South Indian peninsula, the existence of the local self governing institutions could be traced well before the period of the Christian calendar. There were very little evidence available about the system of local governance in the early Chola period, which dates back to before Christ, and the Kalabira period. But there were some account of existence of local governments during the time of Pandyas. But Chola's period witnessed a well-developed local self-government. The inscriptions of Parantaka Chola I, 1919 AD to 922 AD from Uttaramerur in Kanchipuram district of Tamil Nadu state give detailed account of local self-government. They inform that each village had an assembly consisting of all adult males and they are involved in general matters. These assemblies are of two types, the Ur and the Mahasabha. The third kind was the Nagaram confined to mercantile towns and the fourth one was the Nadu. Hence two types of institutions were mentioned, one Nadu and the other is Nagaram. In general, there is little information on the functioning of any village assemblies prior to the 9th century. Both Nadu and Nagaram were concerned about the control and regulation of land holdings, management of irrigation works, temples, collection and remission of taxes, floating of loans for capital works, and the management of charitable institutions. The Mahasabha and Nadu were the two institutions that assisted the officers in executing the orders of the king. It has been found that Rajaraja Chola I ordered the Mahasabha of the Veeranarayana Chaturvedi Mangalam to confiscate the property of traitors. Many historians such as Sir Charles Metcalfe, Sir George Birdwood, and Elphinstone opined that a strong system of local government existed in ancient and medieval South India. The Mahasabhas and Kudabolai were confined to Brahmin settlements. During the Mughal period, 1500 AD to 1777 AD, empire was divided into provinces Subhas and the provinces into subdivision Sarkars and the Sarkars into union of villages Paragnas. In the twilight of Mughal Empire, the self-governing institutions in rural areas had been severely damaged at vital points, but they had withstood the onslaughts with remarkable tactics. After the Battle of Plassey in 1757 AD, the British East India Company derived land taxing rights from Bengal ruler Nawab, which was the first step in the ascendancy of the British rule in India. The district administration under the charge of the district collector was the kingpin in the British control over the vast rural areas. The important milestone during the company rule was the establishment of municipal corporations, as mentioned earlier at Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras. Viceroy Lord Ripon in 1882 brought out a resolution proposing a smaller unit for constituting rural local boards, a subdivision taluk, and district boards to supervise. Lord Ripon's resolution emphasized that the institutions he proposed should have a majority of non officials who should be elected wherever it was feasible. Nearly 500 rural boards were created with a two-third majority of non officials who depended upon the district magistrate for the favor of nomination. The main activities of the district boards till 1909 were police, public works, education, and village sanitation. The rural local government introduced by Lord Ripon faced many criticism, and in the 1907 AD, the British government appointed a commission to inquire into the question of administrative and financial relations between the government of India, provincial governments, and subordinate authorities under them, so as to simplify. With the passing of Government of India Act 1919, the local governments were entrusted with the elected elements of the provincial government under the diarchy system of government. The number of village bodies in Tamil Nadu increased from 1417 in 1926 to 6250 in 1937. There are three tier system of rural local bodies: district boards, taluk boards, and village boards. The district and taluk boards have undergone changes by 1923. The non-official chairman in all provinces replaced official chairman. In Tamil Nadu, most of the district boards came to be dominated by Justice Party members, which stood at 545 in 1927. From 1937 up to 1947, the rural local authorities faced many challenges, including the National Freedom Movement. After Indian independence in 1947, an attempt was made to revive local governments in India. Mahatma Gandhi argued for the decentralized administrative system in India, entrusting responsibility of governance with the village panchayats. Sriman Narayanan, with the blessings of Gandhiji, published a blueprint of the Gandhian constitution for free India, wherein panchayats are the basic institutions for organizing social, economic, and political activities of the citizens. In addition to the civic, political, and administrative roles, the panchayat was to play the economic role of organizing production and distributing resources in such a way that the village communities become self sufficient for meeting most of their basic needs. Thus, Article 40 came to be incorporated in the Constitution as part of the directive principles of the state policy of the Constitution of India adopted on November 26, 1949. The Article 40 states that the state shall take steps to organize village panchayats and endow them with such powers and authorities as may be necessary to enable them to function as units of self government. In compliance with the provisions of the directive principles of the state policy, an ambitious rural sector initiative, the Community Development Program was launched in 1952 with the main focus of securing social economic transformations of village through people's own democratic and cooperative organizations, with the government providing technical services, supply, and credit. This program was extended to most of the blocks as National Extension Service, aimed at transferring scientific and technical knowledge to agricultural, animal husbandry, and rural craft sectors. In 1956, under the second five-year plan, it was recommended that village panchayats should organically link with popular organizations at higher levels and in stages. The popular body should take over the whole administration. In 1957, the Government of India appointed a committee on plans project under the chairmanship of Balwant Rai Mehta. The Mehta committee recommended 2 points, namely, the administration should be decentralized and the administration should be placed under the control of local bodies. Secondly, the community development blocks should be designed as administrative democratic units with an elected panchayat union to operate as a fulcrum of developmental activity in the area. It also recommended for the formation of district development councils at the district level consisting of all the presidents of panchayat unions, members of legislative assembly, and members of parliament with district level offices of public health, agriculture, veterinary, and education departments as members, and the collector as the chairman. The district body is only an advisory body. The recommendation of the Mehta Committee were generally welcomed, and Panchayati Raj legislations were enacted, and by 1960s, about 90% of the population were covered by Panchayat Raj bodies. In 1977, the Government of India formed a committee under the chairmanship of Ashoka Mehta to go into the working of the Panchayat Raj bodies and suggest measures to strengthen it. It recommended that Panchayati Raj should emerge as a system of democratic local government, discharging developmental, municipal, and ultimate regulatory functions. Hence, the first recommendation was to set up district panchayat as the directly elected body. As a temporary arrangement, the committee recommended continuation of the panchayat union at the block level. The Ashoka Mehta committee submitted its report in 1978, which was well received and led many states to introduce appropriate amendments in the Panchayat Acts, such as Karnataka, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, and Gujarat. A number of committees were formed between 1978 and 1986 to look into various aspects of strengthening the local self-government institutions, such as C.H. Hanumanta Rao Committee, G.V.K. Rao Committee, and L.M. Singhvi Committee. Only minor changes were suggested by these committees from the Ashok Mehta Committee. The next landmark was the introduction of 64th and 65th Constitutional Amendment Bills in July 1989 by Rajiv Gandhi government, which could not be passed in the Council of States. After many attempts in 1992 incorporating important features of earlier exercises on this subject, government drafted and introduced 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment bills in Parliament in 1992, which was passed by the Indian Parliament in 1993. The 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments introduced new parts 9 and 9A in the Indian Constitution, containing articles 243 to 243 ZG. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please share it to your friends and welcome to Wings of